Sticking in McLean County, they're touting unionization as a win for Starbucks baristas in Normal.
Last night, staffers at the Veterans and Von Mauer location unanimously voted 17-0 in favor of joining the Starbucks Workers United. They joined over 11,000 servers throughout the country to win workplace protections.
The unionization comes during one of the coffee shop's busiest times of the year. Now, this is the 28th storefront in Illinois and the third in Normal area to agree to unionization.
Don't forget, with the 25 News app, the news is there for you anytime on your phone. Search for the WEEK 25 News app.